CashFlow Diary Podcast, episode 289.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the CashFlow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other CashFlow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the CashFlow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you're here today because here's what I know about you. I know one of the things that you want to do is you want to be able to find another way or additional ways to increase your cash flow. That's why you're listening. See, you thought I was psychic. I know. Here's the point. There are many ways to do it. You guys, we've talked about real estate before. We've talked about various forms of business, from patents, from ideas. We've had venture capitalists on. And sometimes you're like, is there a way that I can just do my own thing, my own way? You know, what if there was? What if you could just take control? What if you could find a way to get out of that student loan debt that you currently have, and it could happen faster than you think, simply by sharing something you're passionate about and what you know? Well, today's guest is going to be able to educate you in that particular field because that's exactly what he has managed to do. He is the creator and online instructor and founder for videoschoolonline.com. His name is Phil Ebiner. And what's interesting to me is that oftentimes when we think of, hey, how much money do you want to earn, we think in terms of a year. So maybe it's 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 80,000, 100,000 a year, whatever. But I'm going to challenge you with this thought. What if what you earned in a year, you began to earn that in a month? Because he's done it. He has earned some people's annual income in a month. I think you and I are going to learn a lot, so let us listen to Phil Ebiner. Phil, you there?
Hey, I'm here. That was a great intro, and I'm so excited to be here and talk about creating online courses and just chatting about building a cash flow. And I'm not sure if you have had other guests that have talked about online courses, but it's an industry that's booming right now, and it's great time to get into it right now.
Indeed. And we've had many different aspects. Nobody who actually talks about the things that I assume you and I are going to talk about, from video creation, and no one has ever mentioned Udemy to my recollection. So it'll be very interesting because I'm sure you'll have different lessons that you have learned. But before we get into any of that, what we want to know is I've got to ask you the same question I ask everybody. So I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. So, Batman, Robin, the Hulk, Black Widow, depending on whatever you call a superhero. Well, and I think entrepreneurs and superheroes have a ton in common. For example, occasionally we get dressed up. Sometimes we wear masks and capes, or at least we think we are wearing masks and capes as we go around swooping and saving our customers. And also, like superheroes, before we were super, we had, an origin story. Before Spider-Man was climbing walls, he was just kind of, doing his newspaper gig. So my question to you, sir, is before the 150,000 students who have taken your courses, before building this, we'll call it online empire, okay, who is Phil Ebiner?
Oh, that is a great question. And no one really knows. Just kidding. I'm here to unmask the superhero.
Right. I just asked you to reveal your secret identity. I get it. I get what I just did there. I got it.
No, yeah, that's a great question. I'm still relatively young. I'm 26 at this time, and I graduated from college not too long ago. So I grew up in Southern California, went to college at Loyola Marymount University in Southern California, and graduated in 2011. And throughout my childhood and more into high school and then officially into college, I got really into creating videos. So much so that that's what I decided my degree should be in when I went to college. So I studied film and television production at LMU. And it was a great experience, great time, very expensive experience, spending literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on school, even with scholarships and working throughout the entire time as well. All of you know how expensive private education can be. So I got out of school and I landed a couple jobs doing full-time video editing work. I worked hard at an internship at school while I was doing school, and I got a job right away, and I was just working full-time, but making not that much money back then, around $30,000 a year. And that's a lot for some people in some places, but coming out of school with literally $100,000 in student loan debt, trying to live on my own because I didn't want to move back into my parents', all that money was gone before it even hit my wallet or my bank account. So I worked for a few years just doing mostly video editing, and on the side working my butt off to do side gigs like wedding videography and freelance video editing. So that's my background.
Got it. Now, I just want to make sure that I'm clear on something and that everybody else heard it too. Did you say hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans, even though you had scholarships and were working?
So I ended up with just a little over 100,000 in debt, but the total education, I had almost a half tuition scholarship. So in total, I think the actual cost of education was $150,000 to $200,000 for the 4 years at LMU. And I think even now, I mean, that was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Now it's even more, which is ridiculous. So, and my parents weren't really able to help pay for it. And I went into school not knowing I graduated from high school being 17 years old, not knowing what it really was to take on a loan like that. It was like, no one told me when I graduated how hard that would be for me every day waking up after I graduated feeling like I had a 10-ton elephant on my chest of debt just sitting there, and I wasn't even chipping at it. You know, I couldn't pay it off. I was just barely making the interest payments, if that. So yeah, it's crazy.
Well, what's interesting about this, Phil, I think you were, and here's what I will say, because I say the same thing for my story. I believe you were gifted a lesson earlier that most people learn later. I'm willing to bet that many people listening right now said to themselves, like I did, well, at least you learned that at 26 as opposed to 46.
Yeah.
And you've been able to pivot and change some things there. So tell me, how do you go from, because again, most people go to school, get good grades, go to college, do their thing. They're thinking, hey, I need to get a job. Now you've got one, but yet you managed to develop the courage to go, you know what? I have a superpower here that I could go use in other ways. Where did that courage come from to be able to even offer your services to that first client?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I don't know if it was so much of courage or just dissatisfaction with sitting at a desk from 8 in the morning to 6 p.m. and having a boss tell me what to do. And I was working jobs that I actually liked. I was making videos. I was doing video editing. That's what I studied. That's what I was passionate about. But like all probably entrepreneurs can agree, when you're doing work for someone else, even if it's something that you enjoy doing, it still doesn't give you the satisfaction that it does when you're doing it for yourself. And so even though I was working those jobs, I had this itch to do something on my own. And it wasn't until it was about 3 or 4 years after graduation, and I was working at a school actually in their communications department. And we were building an online library of educational videos for this college. And so I was researching a lot of different websites and seeing what was out there in terms of online education. And I found this site called udemy.com where anyone could put together a course. You didn't have to have a credential or anything like that. You just put together a video-based course and you could sell it. And this was the first time I even heard of this idea that anyone could create an online course. And it was its own marketplace. And at that moment, I thought, hey, I could try this. I know how to create videos. I do video editing. That's maybe what I should teach. I think a lot of other people would be interested in learning video editing. So I spent about a month creating my first course. I put it online. I sent free coupons out to all my friends and family. I didn't have a website or any sort of social media presence or anything at that time. So I didn't really have much more anyone else to send it to other than that. But in that first month, I made $62, and that just blew my mind because
you were hooked.
I was hooked. It was like crazy that someone would buy a course from me, a nobody, and people started to like my course. They left reviews for my course. People said that my course helped them get a job. And so it was stuff like that that just got me addicted to creating and selling online courses.
I totally understand. Something happens about it. There's a concept that I teach, and I always tell people, what you got to do is you got to get that shut up check. It's that check that when it comes, it makes that subconscious just shut up. Like, because occasionally in the back of your head, you're wondering, is this going to work? I mean, is anyone going to really do this? And then the check comes and you're like, oh my God, this is real. And it doesn't even matter the amount. As you said, $62. It doesn't matter the amount. It matters that the concept is real and that you did it and that all those things are there. But there's something that you mentioned that I want to bring out, because you mentioned that you were doing this with no experience. You had no audience, no social media presence. You don't have any sort of teaching credential. To me, that communicates that the barrier to entry for entrepreneurship isn't money, isn't time. It has nothing to do with resources, but everything to do with willingness. Would you agree?
I would completely agree, especially at that time when I was starting to create online courses. The quality of courses overall wasn't that great. So literally, if you had a computer and you could design some sort of PowerPoint using free software like Google Documents, or if you had PowerPoint, you could create an online course. Nowadays, I would say that to break into this business, there's a little bit of a startup cost just so that when you're creating your first online course, the quality of your audio is decent. And you might have to edit your videos, so you might have to buy video editing software, but it's still so much cheaper than any other business that I know of. You could literally get started and create a high quality course with equipment that costs less than a couple $100. And I don't know any business that you could start for a couple $100 nowadays. And when I look at my business expenses and income for the past few years, the expenses are literally maybe 2 to 5% of or like there's a 2 to 100 ratio of like how much income I'm bringing in versus my expenses. And sometimes my accountant is literally like, you need to spend more money because you are making so much money now and you don't have any expenses. It's crazy.
Yeah. Totally understood. Now, I also think that, and one of the things that I love about today's technology, today's business, is for most people, if they have the ability to listen to our voices right now, like whatever, I don't know if you're on Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, whatever you're doing to be able to listen to us, I think they have all the equipment that they need, and They just need to go out there and make something happen. So let's talk about something that tends to happen when, entrepreneurs go out there to make their start. So what was that conversation like when you said, hey, mom, hey, dad, hey, friends, guess what? I'm going to go make courses online. Yeah, I know I went, to Loyola and I know we paid all this money, but what I'm going to do now is go make some courses.
Yeah, that's definitely a conversation I had to have with my wife, who at the time when I was starting this, she was just my girlfriend then. And Even when I was between jobs and just freelancing, which was what a lot of my friends were doing in the film and television world, it was still stressful for her. It was stressful for me to know, or to not know if a paycheck was coming the next 2 weeks or a month. And for me, it was really hard. It was hard for me to do this and commit to this because I did have that fear that, oh, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. This isn't going to last forever. And I think I have a little bit of that fear, which drives me to work even harder, which is good. But it took 2.5 years of creating and building online courses, building my website, building an audience to the point where I was actually making more money doing my online courses than I was making at my full-time job, because this whole time I actually held full-time jobs and I was just doing this at night. I literally was going home every night, and I say this to a lot of people. When I was starting, I was so cheap and I was paying off all these loans and I didn't have that much money that I didn't have internet at my apartment that I was renting. So I would go home, I would record my videos, edit them, and then I would go into the office, and in the morning before work, I would upload all my content using the internet at my job. And that's what I did for a couple years. It didn't take a couple years to get internet at my apartment. It wasn't that long, but it took literally until I was making more than I was at my full-time job to feel comfortable leaving it and focusing on building my own business. And I think I honestly could have done it earlier, because I've seen that since I made that jump and I've been able to spend 40 hours a week or more, or at least having the focus of 40 hours a week on my own business, I've seen such a growth. And I'm just excited and blessed to be doing this for about a year or so now, full time.
Got it. So, talk to me a bit about that first one, because oftentimes, you develop the courage, you leave the job. What does that first day, first week look like when you go, okay, I'm no longer going to have this job? Did you freak out? Was it normal? What were you feeling?
I was scared. I was definitely scared, but I think I enjoyed the freedom of not having to go into the office so much that it just was great for me. And I think I was lucky to have been born with the drive to be able to wake up every morning and get to work and have a to-do list and complete tasks. And a lot of people, I think, struggle to do that. And if you didn't have a job and you said you were going to do your own business, it would be a struggle to wake up every morning and to get to work. You'd get distracted by whatever, the internet, TV, going out, or whatever it is. But for me, I've just been lucky. I am very focused, and I think that's necessary if you're working on your own business to really have a schedule still. And even though I'm working for myself, I still wake up, I still work normal hours. But then when normal hours are done, when it's 5 or 6 o'clock at night, I cut myself off from work. And that was actually a huge benefit from jumping to doing this full time, because when I was working full time at another job, I would work 40 hours a week. Then I would come home and work on my business. And on the weekends, I would work on my business. And so when I started doing my own business full time, I could literally just shut off work at 5 or 6 o'clock at night and on the weekends to enjoy life a little bit more. And so I felt like I actually have more freedom and I've been more productive than I've ever been before. But that's not to say that it wasn't scary. And there are days when I procrastinate, but that's the benefit of doing your own business. It's okay to take off a day here or there, to get off early on Friday and not have to ask the boss about it.
Well, you're married. You said the boss is still there.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying. And now with all of this going on, for those who might not know, because you mentioned the name of Udemy, some people may not know what that is and how that has played a role in making your business be successful. Could you explain a little bit about, what Udemy is, and more importantly, what the company was able to help you to do, and what they would be able to help anyone to do, really, should they be willing to follow a similar path?
Okay, as you guys know, you've heard me say it before, and you're hearing yet another example. Businesses are built on systems. Systems can be duplicated, replicated, and most importantly, automated. And what it comes down to is that when you get your systems together, you have the ability to deliver value to many, did I say many? Different individuals. And most importantly, when you do that, they reward you with things called certificates of appreciation, also known as currency or cash. Keep listening for more of the systems that every business owner has access to.
Yeah, definitely. And udemy.com is right now the biggest player in this industry of people selling online courses. But there are other big players that are there, and I'll just name a couple of them. And the way that it works, though, is pretty similar across the board. Skillshare.com is a new one. Stack Social sells a lot of digital products, but they also have online courses in their digital bundles. Amazon is also getting into the game. They just announced Amazon Video Direct as a place where people can upload content, video content, and sell it. So they're new, and from Amazon's track record, they are probably going to be a big player in this industry. But with udemy.com, they've been around for a while, and basically it's a marketplace. It's going to Amazon, it's going to eBay, but all that's there are online courses. And so you can search for anything from learning how to design in Photoshop, to baking bread, to losing weight, to really whatever. There's anything you want to learn, you can find it on Udemy. And everything is built into an online course, a video-based course. They're typically between an hour to 3 or 4 hours. There's longer courses. There's advanced programming courses that are 20, 30 plus hours. There's shorter courses. But in general, courses are a couple hours or so. And most of the content is video-based. And one of the questions I always get is, well, why would someone pay for a video course when you can just go on YouTube or on a blog and find out the answer to literally any question you have? And that's a good question. And I think there's just different types of people. And there's the type of person that is willing to buy a course for $20 to $50 on Udemy to get everything you would need to know about a specific skill. And the courses that do the best are the ones that really have that sort of at the end of this course, you're getting this skill, and it's not just here, I'm teaching you one little tip or trick, but I'm going to transform you somehow. And even if it's just with, for example, some of my classes, I have a complete photography class or a complete designing animated videos in Adobe After Effects class, but I really teach them not only how to use the tool, but how to find a job with that tool or how to make money with those skills. So they're really complete classes. And the way that it works as an instructor is you just sign up. It's free to sign up for an account, and then you just go create your content. You have to shoot your content yourself with your video camera or using screen recording software on your computer and a microphone. And once you have all your content created, you upload it to Udemy. You can organize your courses into sections or chapters. You can add supplemental resources, like if you have like a PDF guide or an audio guide or templates or anything else you want to add to your course, you can do that. And then, of course, like any marketplace, you have to promote your course. So you have to write out sales copy. You have to design a thumbnail that looks good, that entices someone to click on your course when they're searching for your topic and they see your course in the search results. So there's a lot of actually marketing when it comes to creating online courses if you want to be successful. And that's something that I've had to learn because I'm great at creating content. I have a video background, but the whole marketing side was something that I had to learn from scratch. And then just finally, how does it actually work with getting paid on Udemy? Right now, they have sort of a band where you can only charge between $20 and $50 for your course. And if you're promoting it to your own audience using your own, basically it's like a unique URL when you're sending out to your own audience, you actually make 100% of those sales minus 3% transaction costs. So that's really awesome. If you have an audience already and you want to create a course and host it using Udemy, then you can do that and make most of the money. The best part about Udemy, though, is that they have 11 million students right now, and it's growing rapidly around the world. And so there's tons of people searching for your course, probably your course topic. And if they do end up landing on your course and buying your course, you'll make money, but you split it with Udemy 50-50 because they're doing marketing, they're driving traffic, they're growing their brand in the US and abroad. And so you're splitting money with Udemy when they drive traffic to your course. So I hope that gives a rundown. I don't know if there's any questions you have about that.
No, I mean, that was perfect. I mean, not a Udemy user personally, but it is definitely, I mean, I've not put anything up there, for sale per se. So from that aspect, I was like, oh, okay, that's how it works. Interestingly, however, I do buy courses from there. It's good to hear the other side of that table. So, I've bought courses from there because one of the things that I was going to ask you about is, many of us, when we begin our entrepreneurial journey, we think like you thought, hey, I'm going to do video editing. That's it. I do video editing, but there are so many other things, at least in my experience, there have been so many other things that we've had to learn in order to just actually do the one thing we were trying to do in the first place. And I was curious if you would share if you've had that experience, and if so, what were some of those things that you're like, wow, I didn't know that my decision to do this meant I'd have to learn this and have to do this. What were some of those things?
Yeah, that's so true. And so I started out teaching video editing, but after I taught that course, I got addicted and I was like, oh, I need to create more courses. And so I thought, well, I'm actually pretty good at Photoshop, at designing things, because I have to do that for some of my video projects. So why don't I teach a little course on how to use Photoshop? And then photography is really related to video creation, and I've always been in love with photography. So it's like, why not do a photography course? Or like I was doing wedding videography, and that's like a specific skill set in the world of video. So why don't I teach a wedding videography course? And then of course, after doing these and selling these courses for a couple years, I had learned so much about creating online courses, building my own website, building an audience to sell online courses, that I sort of did start to get into teaching other people how to teach online, how to build an email list, how to build a website, how to do all of that side of the things too. So most of my income, which I actually appreciate, comes from my, what I'll call like my hardcore skill set courses of video editing, motion graphics, photography. But a portion of my income does come from teaching others how to build an online course business or to build a marketing channels and do email marketing and those things as well.
Well, the funny thing is to me is the fact that you and I, we share a lot in common in the sense of how we've gotten to doing the things that we do. I started the core skill of just doing real estate, just like you were doing the core skill of doing video editing. And then that turned into, hey, I can share this information with other people. Okay, cool. Which is now turning into, people have started asking me, can you help me build my platform? Can you help me do my marketing? Can you help me do that? So that it seems to be a very, very common theme that I found to be very, very true. So with that being the case, let me ask you this. How important do you think it is for an entrepreneur to be flexible?
So important. so important to know which direction you want to go in. I think if I stuck with video editing and I was like, that's only what I'm going to teach because that's only what I feel confident teaching, I wouldn't be here today talking to you and I wouldn't be doing this full time. But I was flexible, and I was flexible in the sense that I accepted that even if I wasn't the ultimate guru, the top expert, that I could still teach other people skills in different areas. And that's what's great about online courses, and specifically with Udemy. You can teach a skill even if you don't have a degree in it, even if you're not the ultimate guru. And students actually appreciate that more when you have real world experience. And I know this from my own experience going to college and being taught by film instructors who hadn't made films for decades and weren't really in the industry. And I always wondered, man, like, these people are teaching me these skills, but they're not even viable anymore. And I don't even know if they know what they're talking about anymore. And so having those real world skills are much more valid than just a degree. Of course, having a degree, you do have to have experience in what you're teaching, but it's a low entry to teaching. And as long as you know more than the people that you're teaching, that's really all that matters, because people enjoy different types of instruction. And while my courses, I think, are pretty good for a lot of people, some people don't like my instruction. I do get bad reviews on my courses. I get a lot of good reviews, but I also get a lot of bad reviews as well. And so people just like different types of instruction. And some people will want to learn from the ultimate guru, but some people will want to learn from just the guy next door who actually does it in the real world.
Indeed. Well, and one of the other things that I've found to be true about creating content and sharing it, and yes, people, because I get the same thing, I can just go look it up. Yes, you can, and by all means, go look it up. It's not that there's a shortage of knowledge available. However, what you keep hinting at, Phil, is there's additional experience and, dare I say, wisdom that you've gained from using these softwares in various different ways. And most importantly, something you said that I hope many people picked up is that you're able to not just tell you how to use this software, but how to use the software to achieve a specific result, like get hired by somebody. Those are things that you typically may not find as easily online in terms of strategies or best strategies. So, to actually make additional income. They might not, those are the things that you can't just type that into Google. Best strategy for using Photoshop to make $100,000 this year.
Right. And yeah, no, totally. And some people will try to teach that on YouTube or whatever. And making money doesn't always have to be the ultimate goal.
Right.
It's a great way to promote a course, because people do like to buy courses that help them make more money or to advance their career. But it could be as simple as learn photography so that your travel photos are the best that you've ever taken.
Dude, hold on. You did not just say that. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. You don't know this about me, Phil, but that's you just hit a hot button, because that's exactly what I did a couple years ago. Uh-huh. I called myself retired for a while because I only had about 117 houses and units at the time.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, okay, let's try this retirement thing. And I picked up a camera. And then I got frustrated because I started with an iPhone, and I was frustrated because it didn't work out quite right. And then I was trying to take pictures of my kids who move quickly in the shutter speed. Mm-hmm. It just did not go well. And that led all the way to the point to where I challenged myself to get published in the newspaper. I started taking photos in the sports section for UCI, University of California, Irvine. And I went total all in on just wanting to get it. And oftentimes when people come over now, they look at some of the photos that we have of our kids and they're like, wow, that's awesome. Where'd you have that made? I'm like, I did that. Yeah. They're like, what? No way. I'm like, yep. And I did that and that and that. They're just like, these are incredible. Are you a photographer? Nope. But we got good photos, baby.
That is great. That is so good. And see, if someone like you had taken a course of mine on photography or a different subject and had come away with that sort of feeling of being so accomplished, that is ultimately why I teach online courses, because I want to help people learn new skills. That is great. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm the designated photographer everywhere I go, but double-edged sword, but that's okay. That's okay. So here's a question though. Now that you've managed to establish your brand, yourself, etc., what's like the next step for either videoschoolonline.com or what's your next step?
Yeah. It's right now the world of online education is changing rapidly. It's growing rapidly, and I'm loving it so much. And I just want to make sure that this continues to grow and my business continues to grow. To be completely honest, platforms like Udemy have changed rules. I mentioned earlier that you can charge between $20 and $50 for a course now. But just a few months ago, you could charge anywhere between $10 and $300. And so one thing that I've learned as an online course creator is that you have to be flexible, like you said, about just where you sell your online content and how you sell your online content. So I'm not settled right now with just having my online courses being on Udemy or all the other platforms. I want to make sure that this lasts a while longer. I was able to pay off all of my student debt with my income from creating online courses, which is amazing. And I'm pretty financially sound right now, saving for retirement, saving up for a house down payment. But I'm nowhere near having enough money to walk away from creating online courses or just saying, oh, I'm just going to let them go for now. I'm not going to pay any attention to them. So I'm really just in the mindset that I really want to make this work out for at least the next 4 or 5 years. Who knows how long this world is going to stay around with online education, or if it's going to stay viable for someone like me to continue doing this full time. I hope it does. But also by the time, if for some reason online education all becomes free someday, because eventually I feel like people are going to be tired of paying for content at all, and people do just want content for free, whether it's television, cable, Netflix, whatever. People do just want content for free. But when that time comes, I hope that my business, videoschoolonline.com, has grown enough so that I have an audience that I can pivot in a different direction, whether it's in-person training or some other type of training or just something completely different. I just want to make sure that my business grows to a point where that can be a viable business on its own for the long run. Right now, I'm still really excited about udemy.com. I think they're making some great changes to be viable for the long term. And yeah, I'm just excited to see where this goes over the next few years.
Indeed. So, in fact, something just occurred to me. There's probably more than one person who's at this point interested in more about, what you're doing. They probably want to follow up with you, etc. What's going to be the best way for them to connect with you?
Everything that I do is hubbed at videoschoolonline.com. I post a lot of YouTube videos, sort of behind the scenes videos about what I'm doing. I'll post blog articles about what I do. And so you can find those at videoschoolonline.com, or just search for Video School Online on YouTube or Facebook, and you can find my social media channels there. And I'll keep everyone up to date at that place.
Excellent. So as we wind down here, I've got a final question for you, because it'll be interesting to hear your answer. There's more than one person, I'm assuming, who's listening right now who, let's say, for example, that they're standing in front of the superhero outfit store. They are ready to take on this entrepreneurship thing. They think, okay, I'm going to pick out my cape. I'm going to get some tights. I am ready to make this thing happen and tell the world I have arrived and, hear me roar, all that. However, in the back of their head, Phil, they've got that voice. And I know you know that voice because you've done battle with that voice. You woke up with that voice screaming at times, and sometimes it won't let you fall asleep. And you're wondering, or they're wondering, is it going to work? Or can I do it? Who am I to even do anything and ask people for money? Yet, you've conquered that voice, Phil. So my question to you would simply be, if you knew in the next 48 to 72 hours that whatever you were about to say, they would actually do, they're actually going to follow through and do it, what would you say to that person who's experiencing that right now?
Great. Get a camera, whatever it is. It's your webcam on your computer, it's your smartphone camera, whatever it is. Get a camera, set it up. If you have family around or friends around, it might be a little bit embarrassing. So ask them to get away for a few minutes and just record yourself talking about something you love. Whatever skill it is you have, whether it's something that you do at your job, a hobby of yours, whatever you're passionate about, just talk to the camera and see if you like doing it. Everyone asks me, what should the first course that I teach be? Everyone's interested in making money with online courses, but I always tell people just teach something that you love first, even if it's something like what I've taught, which is how to brew beer, how baseball works,
Nice.
Just fun topics that I know aren't going to make a lot of money, but just fun topics to see if you even like doing this. Because if you don't like doing this, if you don't like creating videos and trying to sell them online, then there's other ways that you can make money. So you really have to enjoy doing it. So right now, just find something that you enjoy talking about, turn on the camera, start talking about it, and practice. And from there, if you enjoy it, that's when you can get serious and actually start to build an actual online course with an outline and structures and everything like that. But just see if you like it first.
Right? Before you open up that can of worms, just take a taste. I totally hear you. 100% agreed. One of the things I want to say is just thanks. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being who you are. Thanks for actually caring enough to say that, look, start with something that you like. Don't let it be about the money, because it will make a difference in the long term, sir. So again, thanks for being here and sharing your information, your knowledge, your wisdom, and experience with us here at the Cashflow Diary.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean today? That means videoschoolonline.com. It could mean that. Duh. Go. Make something happen. Why? Because you just heard from another person who has managed to make something happen using just his ideas. I'm telling you guys, you are some of the richest people on the planet. It's intellectual capital that matters. Take those concepts, turn them into cash. It's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Until next time.